Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
We begin tonight with breaking news. The manhunt for an escaped inmate that stole a law enforcement vehicle is over. Authorities say that 20-year-old Tony Kruger is in jail tonight following a nearly 7-hour search. This afternoon, a Northwest Regional Corrections officer was transporting Kruger, and at some point, Kruger overpowered the officer while in Crookston, then stole the transport vehicle and took off from the scene. He then led officials on a high-speed chase. A Minnesota State Patrol trooper used a pit maneuver in order to stop the car. Then Kruger took off on foot into a farm field near Winger.
Apparently, it's been reported that this individual escaped from custody from the sheriff's office. He did not. He was being transported by Northwest Regional Correctional Officers, which is a separate agency, and he overcame the correctional officer, and that's how we ended up out in this particular area.
The Polk County Sheriff says Kruger surrendered without incident and will be checked out by paramedics before being taken back into jail. August is a time of year that many people spend outside, but it's also a peak time for ticks. A new study shows that Lyme disease has appeared in all U.S. states and is actually in the rise in our area. Valley News Team's Katie Opperly examines the risk in the valley and finds out what we can do in order to stay safe.
Lyme disease is increasing in the U.S. and especially in Minnesota. But we're also seeing it here in North Dakota.
From 2001 to 2016, over 22,000 cases have been confirmed in Minnesota. And of the 233 cases in North Dakota, almost half of those were in Cass County.
Now it's pretty widespread, and you can pretty much find it anywhere.
Updated numbers from this year are expected to be the largest increase so far, as each year numbers have skyrocketed.
When you're coming inside from being outside hiking and exploring nature, just do a double check.
Knodel says it can be difficult to spot the type of tick that carries Lyme disease, as it is only 2 millimeters long when fully grown. That's why checking yourself thoroughly for these pests is extremely important to avoid getting sick.
It is very serious if it goes untreated. It can result in heart failure. You get arthritic joints, and it's very painful.
If a tick is found attached, she says removal within 24 hours usually prevents the disease from spreading, but testing is the only way to make sure you're safe.
Lyme disease, we offer a test that's pretty simple. It's a blood test. Turnaround time is 2 to 4 days.
The tick itself can be brought into labs to identify it. Only the deer tick can carry this disease, so identifying the tick will see if testing is necessary. In Fargo, Katie Opperly, Valley News Live.
It's also recommended to take precautions and use bug spray with DEET, also wearing protective clothing to keep any ticks away. NDSU does offer tick identification in their plant diagnostics lab. President Donald Trump may be making a return trip to North Dakota. A source familiar with the president's travel plans say he is expected to visit North Dakota, South Dakota, Missouri, and Montana over the next 6 weeks. Officials didn't say exactly if the visits are to support any person in particular, but did say the president will hold at least 8 rallies and at least 16 fundraisers throughout the country in as many as 15 states in support of Senate, House, and gubernatorial candidates. Hawaii leaders are ramping up preparations for Hurricane Lane as the Category 4 storm continues toward the island chain. Here's a look at video taken from the International Space Station of Hurricane Lane in the Pacific Ocean. At a news conference today, officials urged residents to get prepared before the storm arrives. An emergency proclamation was issued to speed up the state's response to potential impacts from this hurricane. Now, one of the biggest concerns is flooding on the island. The Hawaii National Guard is on high alert, and the American Red Cross is preparing to open shelters if they're needed. Nothing like that to worry about here with summer coming to an end. Let's check in with Hutch for a look at our weather. Hutch?
Yes, and a little update live on the hurricane out in the Pacific. It is very near the Big Island right now. The outer bands of it are chafing the area. 175-mile-per-hour winds, so it has weakened a little bit. It is now a Category 4 storm. but its movement is going to be to the north as we go between now and Friday. It will be getting closer and closer as a Category 4 storm, eventually weakening to a 3, then a 2, skirting the entire island chain the way the current forecast is. We'll keep you up to date with the latest on that. Right now, 60s here in the valley. Quiet conditions until we get to the Black Hills. A few showers there. We will stay quiet, but some of the clouds from those storms out west will be pushing into our western and southern counties by daybreak. Christine, not as cool tonight thanks to a south breeze at 5 to 15 miles per hour. That'll help keep things a little milder to start your Thursday. Details on the rest of our forecast here in just a few minutes.
Sounds good. Thank you, Hutch. Also, make sure you can get the forecast when you need it with the latest version of the Valley News Live Storm Team Weather app. You'll get your forecast as well as weather alerts on the go to help you plan your day and to keep your family safe. Download the latest version for free so you don't miss important alerts. Just search VNL Weather in your app store. Fargo police need your help finding missing Brenda Kartz. Kartz is 31 years old, 5'3", 125 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. Now, her family hasn't had any recent contact with her, and they're worried for her safety. So if you have any information on Kartz, call Fargo police at the number on your screen, which is 701-241-1405. A Fargo woman's post on Twitter went viral overnight. This is after she warned people in the valley not to fall for what she said was a sex trafficking scam. Take a look at your screens. These signs were posted on NDSU's campus, and they're advertising student work for a great price, but no company name was listed.
I mean, $17 an hour, that's awesome, but what am I going to be doing and who am I working for?
I mean, when I'm looking for a job, I want to know what company it is. I want to research these places, and that they didn't even have their company name on the sign just seems off. Something doesn't seem right. Wouldn't make me want to call the number.
So we wanted to find out what exactly was going on. We called and texted the number on the sign. The business is Vector Marketing, and they tell us they're taking this incident very seriously, adding that those signs posted were old and new versions actually have the company name on them. They also say this isn't the first time they've battled these accusations, saying their signs were first said to be linked to human trafficking back in 2015. 3 people are facing charges after stealing over $2,000 worth of phones from a store in Dickey County, North Dakota. A criminal complaint alleges 51-year-old Dale Swick Jr., 34-year-old Keith Lasater, and 22-year-old Angela Lasater all conspired and later stole 4 cell phones from Shopko Hometown in Oaks. Those phones were valued at almost $600 each. All 3 face charges of theft and criminal conspiracy to commit theft from a robbery. A Minnesota man who authorities say falsely presented himself as a U.S. Navy pilot and defense analyst has now been sentenced in Texas to 24 years in prison for stealing from various women that he met online. 47-year-old Derek Aldred was sentenced in federal court today. This is after pleading guilty in December to mail fraud and aggravated identity fraud. He was also ordered to pay about $255,000 in restitution. Prosecutors say a Dallas area woman who was dating Aldred, who used the name Richard Taylor, filed a police report after becoming suspicious of him. Investigators discovered he had charged more than $12,000 to her credit card. Aldred is accused of impersonating a military officer several years ago in an attempt to mislead a woman in Woodbury, Minnesota, when he was using the name Richard Derek Peterson. Aldred victimized at least 25 others in California, Hawaii, Minnesota, and Nevada. A court document filed Wednesday morning states that the man accused of killing a 20-year-old University of Iowa student was working legally in Iowa. 24-year-old Christian Rivera was charged Tuesday in the July disappearance of Molly Tibbetts. Law enforcement officials said he was an undocumented immigrant, which immediately fueled political debate. That included comments from President Donald Trump. Rivera's attorney is asking for a gag order in the case, stating that the government is falsely claiming Rivera of living illegally in Iowa. Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement filed a detainer in order to make sure Rivera was not released. He's being held on a $1 million cash bond. Drowsy driving is now being blamed on an accident where a tractor trailer crashed into a Pennsylvania creek this morning. Police said the driver was traveling along Route 30 and fell asleep at the wheel, crashing into a creek around 8 a.m. Crews were able to pull the driver from the truck's cab and moved him into a raft along that creek. A passenger was able to get out on his own. Both were taken to the hospital, but the extent of their injuries is not known. And get this, according to a USA Today study, people are coughing up extra pennies to say the words "I do." In North Dakota, couples are said to be paying $27,000 on average, while in Minnesota, couples dish out $28,000 to tie the knot. Valley News Team's Joseph Ojo looks into the study and shares what some are doing to cut down those costs.
Coming in at number 19 for one of the most expensive states to get married, according to a USA Today survey, is North Dakota at an average price of $27,494.
Well, I mean, the wedding day is something that a girl dreams of, like, since she's knee-high, you know? So you build it up in your head to this huge, big, dramatic, emotional experience, and along with that usually comes a big price tag.
And that marked up number doesn't come as a surprise.
No, with the cost of the venues and the DJs and the food, I can see how it's around that much. And then typical sizes of wedding, I think it's around probably like 200 to 500.
A wedding planner off camera tells us on average, people in North Dakota try to keep their wedding budget around $15,000. But when you factor larger than expected crowds and also hotels that must cater to your party, the price to enjoy your special day can feel a bit inflated.
So what we have seen lately is just that people are more conscious of how much they spend on the wedding and their wedding dress.
As with anything you may want in life, it's easy to just slap some money down on it.
More details with the dress because a lot of the dresses are hand beaded still. So that's still going to be driving the price up.
So if you want to cut costs on your wedding without opting for the court, there is some advice you should know. Parents can chip in and help the party cut the cost, but as Megan Mackey tells us, it's on a case-by-case basis.
The trend is people are getting married as they get older, where you have more of a set career, you have that income base. So
while it may make you happy to invite everyone in your phone book, you can keep your wedding small and intimate to family and close friends. Mai says that luckily in Fargo, there are a lot of small businesses popping up, which gives brides and grooms a chance to look around for people who are willing to step up to the plate and meet a person's price or demand. In Fargo, Joseph Ojo, Valley News Live.
One last tip, experts tell us make your wedding a one-stop shop and have your wedding and reception all at one place for the price of one. A hot deal is coming back to a popular Italian food chain, Olive Garden. Details still to come.
Warmer temperatures as we went through our midweek day, and it does look like we'll have some heat and thunder in the forecast. If you missed it, our Tower Cam time-lapse capturing a beautiful sunset. We'll have details of some thunder in your forecast coming up next.